Right now, as you are watching this, a massive wall of Atlantic low pressure systems is locking onto the United Kingdom, and the Met Office has just issued yellow weather warnings covering almost every single region in the country. But here is the part most people are missing. This is not just one storm. This is a repeating cycle of frontal systems that will hammer Britain again and again and again over the next 2 weeks. And the question you need to answer right now is simple. Is your area going to get the worst of it? Stay with me, because in the next 60 seconds, I am going to reveal the one city in Scotland that receives nearly double the snowfall of any other major city in Britain. And at the 5-minute mark, I will give you a complete hour-by-hour breakdown of exactly when the heaviest rain, the strongest winds, and the most dangerous snow will hit every major region of the United Kingdom. But first, let me explain what is actually happening in the atmosphere right now, because it is unlike anything we have seen so far this winter. The Met Office updated their long-range outlook on the 4th of February 2026, and the picture they painted is extraordinary. Cyclonic patterns are expected to dominate across the entire United Kingdom throughout mid-February. That means vigorous areas of low pressure are rolling in from the Atlantic one after another. But here is the twist that changes everything. These frontal systems are not passing through quickly. They are slamming into a blocking area of high pressure sitting stubbornly to the northeast. Imagine two enormous invisible walls of air crashing into each other directly over Britain. The result? The storms slow down. They stall. And they dump far more rain, far more snow, and far more wind on us than a normal passing system ever would. Now, I know what you are thinking. How bad can it really get? Let me give you the numbers. Rainfall totals are expected to be highest in parts of the west, including areas that are already sensitive to flooding. Snow accumulations of 5 to 10 centimeters are forecast above 200 meters elevation in Scotland, with the Grampian Mountains being the prime target. And in blizzard conditions, that figure could rise to 20 to 30 centimeters across the highest summits of the Scottish Highlands. That is nearly a foot of snow. And strong winds combining with that heavy snowfall could produce full blizzard conditions with drifting snow that blocks roads and cuts off entire communities. But do not go anywhere yet, because I promised you a city-by-city breakdown, and that is exactly what you are about to get. Drop a comment right now telling me where you live, and I will personally make sure your area gets covered in the next update. Let us start in the south and work our way north. And I promise you, even if you live in what you think is a mild part of England, you might be shocked by what is heading your way. London, the capital, home to nearly 9 million people. And right now, mid-February daytime highs are sitting at around 8 degrees Celsius, dropping to roughly 2 degrees overnight. That sounds manageable, right? Here is the surprise. The 14th of February, Valentine's Day itself, is forecast to be one of the coldest days of the entire month. Temperatures could plunge to 0.9 degrees Celsius. If you have plans for a romantic evening along the South Bank, you had better dress like you are heading to the Arctic. The Met Office currently has flood warnings in force across London and the southeast. Rainfall across Greater London is expected to reach approximately 56.7 millimeters spread over 19 wet days this month. And there is even talk of a snow day around the 14th. Snow in London on Valentine's Day. Let that sink in. But London actually gets off relatively lightly compared to what is coming next. Do not skip ahead, because the city I am about to cover has a 96% chance of rain on some days. That is not a typo. 96%. Moving 320 kilometers north to Manchester, England's second city, a place that has made peace with its damp reputation. Mid-February daytime highs average between 7 and 7.2 degrees. But it is the snow that should concern you. Manchester averages roughly 9 snowy days in February, with typical accumulations of around 19 millimeters. That is enough to cause serious disruption to roads and railways. The 12th of February is earmarked as the wettest day of the month, with rainfall potentially approaching 4 millimeters. And with Atlantic frontal systems sweeping repeatedly across the northwest, sudden wintry showers could strike at almost any moment. Sunshine? Forget it. You are looking at 2 to 3 hours per day at best. Humidity sitting at 83%. That is Manchester at its most Mancunian. Now here is where it gets really interesting, and this is the part I told you not to miss. Liverpool. Sitting right on the shores of the Irish Sea, temperatures are marginally warmer than Manchester at night, courtesy of the sea, but the price you pay for that warmth is the wind. Liverpool sits squarely in the path of Atlantic winds funneling across the Irish Sea. During mid-February, gusts along the Mersey waterfront could be formidable. The Met Office has specifically warned about strong winds developing in coastal areas, and Liverpool will be among the most exposed cities in the country. February brings Liverpool 15 wet days with total rainfall averaging 47 millimeters. Sea temperatures, a thoroughly uninviting 6 to 7.4 degrees. This is emphatically not bathing weather. Birmingham, the geographical centre of England, daytime temperatures averaging 7 degrees, falling to 2 degrees after dark. But Birmingham's inland position, well removed from the moderating influence of the sea, means overnight frosts bite harder than the numbers suggest. February typically brings 3.8 days of snowfall with accumulations of 15 millimeters. The city currently sits within one of the Met Office's yellow warning zones for the West Midlands. Flooding risk is genuine. Now let us cross the border into Wales. Cardiff, the Welsh capital. And here is a fact that will surprise many of you. February is actually the snowiest month of the year in Cardiff. When cold Arctic air masses plunge southward and meet moisture-laden air above the sea, Cardiff can receive quite memorable snowfalls. The western regions of Wales are where the Met Office expects the heaviest rainfall during mid-February, with specific flood risk warnings already in place. The mountainous north of Wales, including Snowdonia, remains firmly locked in January-like conditions with snow over higher ground, a distinct possibility throughout the period, crossing the Irish Sea to Belfast. And this is a city that deserves your attention. Belfast records approximately 16.3 rainy days in February. That is nearly one wet day in every two. Total precipitation hits 53 millimeters, sitting well above most cities in England and Wales. Yellow warnings are in force for the whole of Northern Ireland. Snow, heavy rain, and strong winds are all on the table simultaneously. But now we head to where the real drama unfolds: Scotland. And if you thought the South had it rough, you have not seen anything yet. Do not miss the next section: Edinburgh. Scotland's ancient and handsome capital, daytime highs averaging just 6 to 6.4 degrees. Overnight temperatures falling to freezing or below. The 7th of February could see the mercury drop to a bitter 0.7 degrees. Edinburgh is among the snowiest of Britain's major cities in February. The city records between 2.8 and 10 snowy days during the month, with accumulations of around 24 millimeters. February is the snowiest month of the year in Edinburgh. Rain is a constant companion with 13 to 15 wet days and total precipitation of 47 millimeters. Sunshine is desperately thin, just 2 hours per day. Now remember I told you at the start about one Scottish city that receives nearly double the snowfall of any other major city in Britain. Here it is. Glasgow, Scotland's largest city, records approximately 3.9 snowy days in February, but the accumulations reach a remarkable 49 millimeters. That is nearly double Edinburgh's figure and roughly 3 times that of Manchester. Glasgow's proximity to the Scottish Highlands and its full exposure to Atlantic weather systems makes it the snowfall capital of urban Britain. Daytime temperatures struggle to reach 6 degrees. And here is the statistic that should stop you in your tracks. The probability of rain on some days has reached 96%. That is as close to a certainty as meteorology ever gets. Further north, Aberdeen and the Scottish Highlands. This is where mid-February winter reveals its most formidable character anywhere in the British Isles. On the 6th of February, Aberdeen recorded just 4 degrees, the lowest temperature of any major city being monitored. The Met Office has issued amber warnings for parts of Scotland. Amber. That is one level above yellow, indicating a greater likelihood of serious impacts. Those living in rural Scotland face real risks of being cut off by snow-blocked roads and experiencing power outages. Now heading back south to cover some areas people often overlook. Leeds and Sheffield in Yorkshire both recorded just 5 degrees on the 6th of February. Both sit within active yellow warning zones. But what makes Yorkshire particularly dangerous is the Pennine Hills. As Atlantic rain bands sweep eastward, they hit the rising ground and produce enhanced rainfall or enhanced snowfall, considerably heavier than the lowland plains. Flood warnings are already in force across Yorkshire and Humber and the East and West Midlands. The ground is thoroughly saturated from preceding weeks. Any additional rain could readily trigger localized flooding. Newcastle upon Tyne, winter's frontier, just 5 degrees on the 6th of February with yellow warnings across the entire northeast. As rain bands from the west move into colder northern air, they transition to snow. Forecast models suggest that by mid-February, low-pressure systems may track further south, amplifying the wintry threat across all of northern Britain, including the prospect of low-level snow along the northeast coast. And here is a twist many of you will not expect: Oxford and Cambridge. England's celebrated university cities in the south. Oxford records 3.3 snowy days in February. Cambridge records similar figures with roughly 23 millimeters of accumulation. When cold continental air masses sweep across the North Sea from mainland Europe, the southeast of England can sometimes receive heavier snowfalls than the northwest. That fact alone should make everyone in the southeast pay attention. Plymouth at England's southwestern tip. It recorded 11 degrees on the 6th of February, the warmest reading of any major city in the entire United Kingdom. But it came with a yellow weather warning. Plymouth faces the Atlantic head-on. It is the first point of contact for incoming weather systems and consequently experiences stronger winds and heavier rain than cities further inland. Now let me pull all of this together with practical timing. The period from the 7th to the 10th of February will see the first major pulse of Atlantic frontal systems sweeping across Britain from west to east. Western regions, including Wales, Liverpool, Glasgow, and Plymouth, will feel the impact first, typically 6 to 12 hours before the rain and wind reach eastern cities like London, Cambridge, and Newcastle. Peak intensity for this first wave hits the west during the overnight hours and early mornings, reaching the east by late morning to afternoon. The 11th to the 14th of February brings the most critical window, multiple frontal systems stacking up against that blocking high pressure to the northeast. This is when accumulative rainfall totals could push flood-sensitive areas over the edge. Snow risk peaks across Scotland and northern England during this window, particularly above 200 metres. Valentine Day on the 14th could bring that rare London snow event along with the coldest temperatures of the month. From the 15th onward, there are tentative signs of slightly milder air pushing in from the southwest, but the unsettled pattern continues. Rain remains a near-daily feature for most of the country. Here is what you need to do right now. First, dress in layers. Temperatures can shift considerably within a single day. A waterproof, windproof jacket is absolutely essential. Second, always carry an umbrella. With 19 wet days expected across Britain this month, the probability of encountering rain on any given day is remarkably high. Third, monitor Met Office warnings before traveling. Yellow and amber warnings are in force across numerous regions. Fourth, if driving in northern England or Scotland, check road conditions before setting out. Keep a shovel, a warm blanket, and a torch in the boot. One more thing before I wrap up the regional breakdown. Bristol in the southwest. Daytime temperatures range between 7 and 9 degrees, relatively mild by winter standards. But do not let that fool you. February brings 8.6 wet days and the lowest ultraviolet index of the entire year. Whatever sunshine does appear carries precious little warmth with it. The southwest falls within a yellow warning zone with strong winds and heavy rain, the chief concerns. And here is an important reminder. The Met Office has forecast that 2026 will be among the 4 warmest years ever recorded globally, with average global temperature expected to sit approximately 1.46 degrees above pre-industrial levels. That is the 4th consecutive year exceeding the 1.4 degree threshold. A temporary exceedance of the 1.5 degree Paris Agreement target this year is entirely plausible. Now, drop a comment below telling me exactly where you are located, and I will make sure your specific area gets detailed coverage in the next update. If you found this useful, share it with someone in your area who needs to see it. And here is what is coming next. By late February, there are early signals of a potentially significant pattern change that could bring an extended cold snap from the east. Continental air masses from Scandinavia and Russia pushing westward. If that verifies, it would be a completely different type of weather threat. I am tracking it closely and will have a full breakdown in the next video. Make sure you do not miss it. Stay warm, stay prepared, stay safe. And whatever you do, keep watching the skies. This winter is